Thank you.
And something happened.
Thanks, I'll say this.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Yeah. Remove your hat inside.
Yeah.
I won't say that to Brian.
You don't want to get anybody. And of course, you have decorum and rules to follow because you can't wear a hat. Dude, you got weird values.
Wow.
Yeah, you're the one who says it.
Kettle.
Right
I'd like
away.
to call this meeting to order of the Dauphin County Industrial Development Authority at 12:01. You good, Mr. Rockbear? In terms of online?
Fine.
Okay. Take a roll call. Mr. Rickers? Present. Mr. Foley? Mr. Reaver?
Here.
Mr. Hamilton?
Here.
Got a quorum. There was no executive session before the meeting, so there's nothing to report. Public participation, I know that we have Pam Parsons here, we have Brian and Jim Roxbury. I don't think anybody else is here other than staff and our solicitor. Any public participation on agenda items only? I'll give you an opportunity at the end as well. Hearing none, seeing none. You were forwarded the minutes of the May 15th meeting. I was not at the meeting, but I will look for a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Rickers, second by Mr. Reaver. Any discussion? So you all had a nice meeting. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, the ayes have it. Also forwarded were financials for May of 2025. And I'll look for a motion to accept the financials pending audit.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Reaver, second by Mr. Rickers. Discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor of the approval, acceptance of the financials pending audit signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, and the ayes have it. Solicitors report and action items.
Not have a report. I do, but a concern which is brought to my attention regarding signing documents. So to do that, and I don't believe that the body officially elected certainly in the assistant secretary. I would propose that we amend the agenda to do that today. I don't, this just came up, and so I think that the board would be able to amend the agenda to do something that's sending funds or raising great concerns. If you do decide to do that, to add a nomination and election for an assistant secretary, and the meeting agenda can be updated and posted for the public for the Sunshine Act.
Okay, and this really has to do, I guess, then with signature of the document on a loan that was already, we already voted, correct?
Yeah, and it would, the purpose of having someone in the assistant secretary position is to be able to have flexibility when the secretary may be unavailable or
Right.
absent, things of that nature.
And I know in the past that, because Mr. Foley was here, there was a time when we didn't have a full slate of members. And so now that we do, we can extend that, to Mr. Hamilton as Assistant Secretary. So I'll make that motion to amend the agenda to add an item under reorganization. And it would be, I'll make a motion under that item. I guess under new business. Correct. Okay, so under new business, I would add the item reorganization to fulfill the need to make sure that we have assistant secretaries in order to sign documents and to participate in the absence of the secretary. And so I would nominate Everett Hamilton.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. And so we need a motion to nominate Everett Hamilton. as well.
We need to vote on that.
Motion,
Yes.
okay, yes, I'm sorry, that's correct. So the motion in front of us is to amend the agenda under reorganization to add the position of Assistant Secretary. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries.
I don't have anything else other than new business.
We'll go to new business. And so under new business and reorganization, based upon prior conversation, I'll make a motion that Edward Hamilton be named Assistant Secretary of the Industrial Development Authority. So there's a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Congratulations, Edward. Welcome to Assistant Secretary. Any other new business? Under old business, solar project.
Sure, we had a weekly call this morning to get the status from the purchaser with regard to their due diligence. They indicated that they're still working through some engineering matters, including structural, and have encountered an issue where they're engaging a new engineer to assist with structural design and drawings to assist with the permitting process. So that is the from purchaser solar project.
Do we have any idea when we're going to get to the end?
No, I mean, the thought and hope is soon. We, have been told or hoping for the second quarter, obviously that ends on Monday. But this new concern was raised today. Now, based on what was described by the purchaser, we don't have any serious concerns that, they're not going to be able to move forward. They just indicated that they're engaging a new or different engineer for some structural design work. And all of that, the engineering has been to assist them or assure them that they're in a position to be able to take ownership and operate.
Any questions from members of the board? Gaming program update. I know that yesterday Commissioner Douglas talked about the opening of the gaming process and the review of applications and that. Can you give us additional detail?
Yeah, July 1st is the opening of the games program. We made some changes this year to the program. So we're going to encourage for-profits to not apply. They don't have financial impact to focusing on municipalities, profit entities, EMS services, police, fire, all those. Try to get any folks programs.
Yeah, so a change this year, instead of having individual pre-application meetings, which is close to 300 individual pre-app meetings, we are doing workshop meetings where multiple organizations, municipalities will come to a group setting to go over the program guidelines and procedures. Those dates are set on the website. We have 6 for new applicants and 2 workshops for repeat applicants. And they are just call me or our office if I'm not available to schedule those. The application is due 10/1. Sponsorship request letters are due to me by September 2nd.
Any questions or comments?
Feedback that I'm getting from individuals who already scheduled. They're excited about the workshop meetings. They think it makes sense. So hopefully
It's
the positivity continues and it
It was
works
hours
out.
and hours of meetings that you
Yeah.
all went through, so.
Yeah.
I'll just mention that I had a call with Brooke about one of the, about a gaming grant issue. And I just relayed a concern, and I just thought I'd bring it up publicly. There was an external consultant that was involved in this process previously. I just had kind of asked, do we feel like we have adequate staffing to do all of this in-house and do it the right way? I think these changes are probably a way to help make all of that happen. You seem to think that it would be able to happen, but I just think it's always good to check in with staff as you're adding things to their plate that they think they can handle it. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out this year and if additional resources are required to do everything in-house. But I'm excited to think that you feel good about it. And maybe these couple changes make that process a lot easier.
Yeah, hopefully everything goes as planned. We'll see.
Well, and I think, Mr. Robinson can also help to that end as well.
Absolutely.
Staff, so,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments? Infrastructure bank,
No,
small business loan program.
no, they have a couple loans in the hopper, but, until the board.
Any correspondence and miscellaneous items?
No.
Dan, anything from your end?
Yeah, good to be with you all again. Working through the process, with the number of tentacles that are a lot more than when I was.
Any further board comments? Okay. Participation. Pamela?
I'm still really amazed about where we aren't with the solar project, particularly because last fall it was hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. We have to do it by this date or settlement's not gonna happen. And here we are now, almost a year from that, not quite, probably 10 months from that.
Yep.
And we're really no further along. And it was alarming to hear that there are now the serious concerns about moving forward. And that there are engineering and structural
Maybe you
issues.
misunderstood. I said we don't have serious
Oh,
concerns.
we don't.
Yeah.
You're right. Because you were facing that direction and I didn't hear that. Okay. But just things like structural issues, like what, no one knew that before? It raises questions for me.
I appreciate those concerns and not knowing what those structural issues are, whether they're, really related to concerns about integrity of what's there or, whether it's just, they want to make sure that they can do what they want to do on the property. But I hear you, and I think that we're all, a little bit frustrated with the pace of that, especially since, the communication from the purchaser seemed to be that they were in a hurry to get it done. So thank you for sharing that. Any other public participation, Mr. Roxbury?
I do. Question on gaming grants. You had mentioned that they're going to be more of like a cattle call on set up to, I think 3:00 on July 1st. But you also mentioned prior to that, there were individual meetings that took place with the
Last year,
last year.
the pre-app meetings were individual.
And they were with attorneys from, I believe, Eckerd Stevens.
If you were a new applicant, Eckerd Siemens handled the pre-application meetings for new applicants. CNR handled the repeat applicants.
TNR being, that's Musser's group.
Correct.
Okay, but they're no longer associated.
Correct.
Okay. Is the attorneys from Eckerd Stevens
So
going
it
to
will
be?
be, Latoya will be doing the presentation, going over the program guidelines. The staff, George, myself, and Dan, most likely will be at every pre-app meeting for individual breakouts or questions or concerns from applicants.
But this should save, it could save as much as hundreds of thousands of dollars?
I mean, it will definitely be a savings. I don't have the dollar amount. I mean, we're going from close to 300 to
Individual.
and like 300 individual meetings to 8.
Is it possible, or should I do a right to know to see what Eckerd has billed for last year's meetings?
That you would want to contact the right to know officer for that information.
Great, thank you.
Brian, anything?
Still got this hat on, though.
It is inside. Mr. Ross, there's your-
Yeah.
Could I,
The hair-
can I make another comment?
Yeah.
And during the presentation to county commissioners last year and talking about the grants and who was getting them, would be really helpful if this year you could also include who the folks were who did not get grants.
That was on the presentation.
It was,
Yeah.
the individual organizations,
It was one of the last slides.
was it?
Yep.
Okay,
And
I
that's
thought
on
it
the
just said
website.
how many.
No, the individual appointment, what they requested is actually one of the last slides of the presentation.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that.
All right, hearing no more or no further public participation, I will look for a motion to adjourn the IDA meeting at 12:16.
So moved.
By Mr. Rickard, second by Mr. Reaver. And all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, and the ayes have it. So now I will call this meeting of the Dauphin County Economic Development Corporation to order for Thursday, June 26, 2025 at 12:16 p.m. And take a roll call. Mr. Reaver? Here. Mr. Rickards? Present. Mr. Foley? Mr. Hamilton?
Here.
Mr. Stack? We have a quorum. There was no executive session for the EDC as well. There's no report. Public participation at the front end. Anybody? Hearing none. I will present in your packet of information the minutes of the May 15th, 2025 meeting. I'll look for a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
By Mr. Hamilton, second by Mr. Rickards. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion carries. Also sent to you with financials for May 2025 for the EDC. I will look for a motion to accept the financials of May 2025.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Reaver, second by Mr. Rickards. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, and the motion carries. Solicitors report an action item.
It would be recommended that the board amend the meeting agenda for today to allow or provide for reorganization to elect assistant secretary, one of the officers on the board.
Thank you, council. So I will make that motion under new business that we change the agenda to add a reorganization letter so that we can elect an assistant secretary. For a second to that,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Reaver. Thank you. Now I will make a motion that we reorganize by naming Edward Hamilton as the assistant secretary.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, and the motion carries. Congratulations, Edward. Staff program reports. No report. CBBG Home.
In CDBG Home, the application will open August 1st, and the deadline date is September 30th. That's online for.
I've been seeing that the governor is out talking about a plan for new housing stock. I know that, we talked about in the past his work on whole home repairs and his desire to continue to allow people to stay in their homes. I don't know if you all have had any interaction through our state elected officials, or if there's been any conversations with Dauphin County about those issues in general.
Well, yeah, like I said, I think I said last month, there's more funding needed.
Right.
We opened our application process, so I think 2 years ago, and we opened it, we had to close it within 4 hours. 130 applications. So there just wasn't enough money to go around and assist the people in need. So there's been a request for more dollars from Governor Shapiro for the homes repair program. I think last year the budget got denied for those dollars.
Right.
But we have about 90 applications in the hopper that we can't.
Yeah, the new program is the FAIR Fund. PHARE.
That's been in existence.
Well, it's not new, but he's looking for another 50 million.
Oh, the fund in that program.
Yeah. And they're kind of competing, and you know, one is for whole home repairs, and the other one, the FAIR program, is more for, well, I guess, new development, you know, abandoned in different places.
Yeah, totally different than what whole homes does. Whole homes are strictly
Right.
homeowner occupied, low income residents that can't afford to make repairs to their homes. The
Yeah.
FAIR program is strictly for developers.
Yeah. Yeah, and while both are, you know, I think laudable, it was interesting because I have a former client, totally unrelated to this, who's now retired and operating, doing the whole home repairs in Chester County as a volunteer. And, you know, he's very excited, you know, obviously that both things, and the governor's out promoting both, but, you know, it's kind of interesting to talk, you know, when we talk to legislators, whether it's Senator Kim or Davidson, Madsen, folks around here, Justin Fleming, it's difficult to find out what their priorities are. I don't know if the commissioners need to be made aware of it, have a discussion about it, because clearly we have a need for both here. And I'm not sure that, you know, we're going to get the money for both, that maybe the governor would like, but, you know, I would certainly, you know, communicate, ask that you guys have, you know, be in contact with friends in the Senate and the House, just to see where that's going. And if we can, you know, help in any way, or if they can help, because I think it's a good goal, obviously, and we have a huge need for housing.
Well, the problem is with these programs, when we released our program, we had Governor Shapiro at one of the homes, and he was walking by, and I mentioned him. I said, Governor, like, you need a program that strictly helps seniors, 62 and older. This program is helping all low-income people, but it's not like the seniors are in the match with these other people.
Right.
So if their application is in that 90 that I said we can't accommodate, they're not getting help. So I think there needs to be programs strictly for senior citizens that are 62 and older in their homes and can't afford the deficient code violations that are currently existing. Separate program.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. But
Well, I think have those discussions with Doug and other people, you know, that, you know, that might.
Doug knows that was there.
Yeah, no, I remember you talking about that, but I think it's good to remind them, you know, because it's helpful, you know, as a senior citizen, I appreciate that. But no, I think you're right. I mean, it is a goal to keep you people, so, I think that's important to point out. I'm not sure that, you know, our state reps necessarily know it as much as, you know, Doug does, probably because that's a good point. Thanks. Tourism.
Opens January 1, 2026, and will close, we don't know.
Yeah, it will open next year. The dates haven't been decided.
You know, we had a kind of a discussion about some of the tourism grants that I saw, and you talked earlier about the gaming proposal and our gaming board meeting, and, you know, kind of moving away from for-profits. Was that same discussion had on the tourism, or is it, I mean, is the gaming advisory board, is the underlying legislation, you know, similar? You know, I know that when we talked, that tourism grants can go to for-profits or not-for-profits. My question is there a similar kind of feeling that we move towards just dealing with not-for-profits on the tourism side?
No, we're basing the application solely on heads and beds, the impact of the event to the community. So how many people are you drawing in from out of state, other areas? And are they staying in hotel rooms? That's all it's based on. It doesn't matter if it's a nonprofit or for-profit. You're bringing in thousands of people. The hotels are going to benefit. Restaurants are going to benefit. Retail stores are going to benefit. So that's how we evaluate those applications. Gains.
Thank you.
Can you speak about that valuation? What follow-up is done after the fact? So if someone says, here are the number of heads and beds we're gonna fill, and you give them money based on that, and then they only come up with 10% of the number, what accountability is there for afterwards? I know it may be subsequent applications, but is there any accountability?
As far as hotel stays,
Yeah.
what do you need?
He wants to know like who's checking up to make sure that what they spend in their application is actually happening.
Well, I mean, we don't really monitor that program. CDBG. Different process.
It'd be hard to quantify.
It'd be hard to
Are they staying in Dauphin County or they staying?
But you can at least quantify how many registrants or things like, there's certainly things that can be quantified.
Well, I think we need better systems to capture that. An AI system, whatever, monitor cell phones and see what zip codes are coming from and things of that nature. You don't know that sort of calculate that data, capture that data. We did speak with an AI company that could basically gather all cell phones from an area and tell exactly where people are coming from, where they went to eat, where they went retail, where we were working with our partners in Mexico. Trying to gather some of that data. I don't think it's there yet. That would be the way to capture it.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. Any correspondence, miscellaneous item?
One thing,
Yeah.
the deadline date for CDBG is October 7th. Apologize. So August 1st is the opening date for CDBG and home. October 17th is a deadline, not September 30th.
Thank you. Anything else on the whole business?
No, sir.
Any correspondence and miscellaneous items?
No, sure.
Any board comments? Public participation? Yeah.
Okay, yes, mostly around tourism. The thing that concerns me sometimes in all the things that happen here in Dauphin County is this focus that like Dauphin County ends at Fort Hunter. And there's a whole big part of the county that's on the other side of that mountain. And some parts are very rural and some parts are very depressed. Like if you've not driven down the main street of like Williamstown, you might want to do that. So when we're talking about things like tourism grants, there are certainly things that happen in Upper Dauphin County and things that could happen up there, but there are no hotels up there. So if you're just looking at heads and beds, that kind of puts those folks at a disadvantage unless it's something that is multiple days where people would stay overnight. But it's just an observation that I make about how that part of the county seems to be left behind a lot. Yeah.
So just for instance, Millersburg receives multiple tourism awards. Halifax Fire Department receives tourism. Our practice is heads and beds, but it's not 100% cemented down.
Okay.
There are definitely a lot more tourism awards being given south of Peters Mountain. However, you can't receive an award unless you submit an application.
Correct.
So the applications are always reviewed. We look for heads and beds, but as you see, nobody's going to Millersburg overnight for the fireworks, but they receive money for that. Or the Halifax, or the Cherry Blossom Festival.
Or whatever.
Yeah,
Right,
so,
right.
I mean, trust me, I'm a Northern Dauphin girl. I grew up in Williamstown and I live in Halifax. So I always push for the Northern Dauphin, but you have to apply to get the funds. And tourism specifically is promoted through email, and it's generated from past applications being submitted to try to remind people, because it's not as popular. It's getting there, but it's not as popular.
So those boroughs, the local government officials up there know
Yeah.
about these
Okay.
deadlines and
It's-
we share that
it's just that
information. Yeah, absolutely.
I've been hearing the heads and beds
Well,
a
yes,
lot more
that is,
lately.
we try, but
Yeah.
there's always flexibility with tourism. It's not,
Well,
regulated.
there's no
As much.
program without heads and beds. The money is coming from the hotel.
Correct.
So
It
if
is.
our hotels go away, this program goes away.
Goes away. Exactly.
yeah, so
Let's just call spade a spade. Hershey drives the tourism to the golf. Right? It's Hershey Park that is the main driver. Most people, they're driving that tourism. Ours, obviously, I would say it's second to that. Revenue going to the hotel. But I mean, the hotel percentage, hotel tax, that's what these dollars come for. Like I said, that's what we use it for. So, yeah, like Brooke said, we do get money for the fireworks, for the bike race, all the other stuff. I know.
Bike race hasn't happened in years.
well, but in the past.
But
In the past,
but
it
it
is.
was-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Yeah,
has.
but so there's more flexibility, but they have to apply for that.
And just to clarify, since I live in Millersburg in Upper Dauphin County, there is awareness of this. There have been conversations about it. There have been people saying, hey, these resources exist. And people have said, well, if I get $1,000 or $2,000, it may just be easier to ask someone for $1,000 than to go through a grant process or something along those lines. But there are 2 lodging locations up there. There is the lodge at Lycans Valley
Right.
and the Halifax Inn. So there are some beds. I think each have probably about 10 or so, but there are some beds in.
Then the Millersburg Hotel, right?
Well, they're working on it.
So I think
If it
36 that's gonna be 36 units.
That's good.
36,
Yeah.
so.
Somehow, yes.
And then the other thing is that I heard you say, Mr. Connor, about using AI and gathering cell phone data. And that is concerning to me. That is concerning to me
I
because
didn't say we're gonna use it, don't.
I know, I just
I
said,
was, to Mr. Reader's question, how do you gather the data,
and
right? How do you gather, no, I'm asking you, how do you gather?
I don't know.
That's my
I,
question.
yeah, but I'm just urging caution
No, understood.
in just forging ahead and saying, let's use AI,
Right.
particularly in some of those kinds of things, because we're entering an era of a surveillance state in so many ways that our data and our private data is being used in ways that we don't realize and that we've not consented to. So all I'm suggesting is that we not rush into that, and that a lot of companies that are out there that are selling you AI programs do not fully understand how they work. And and folks like us, as well as, companies that are hiring people or whatever, often buy them because they think, well, that's less bias or whatever, and they don't fully understand how it works.
The only other way to do it is surveys, we did look at that.
Okay,
Basically, you have your attendee fill out a survey. Where'd you stay? How many nights did you stay? Where did you eat? Did you go to a retail? Did you go to the mall? What are your activities after the concert or whatever it may be? What did you do? I mean, that's the only way to gather the data. I mean, it's hard you can't go in there and talk to 5,000 people or whatever it may be. I mean, it's.
but you
it's
would
tough.
know, wouldn't you, if if restaurants are packed and everybody has to stand in line and there's no hotel space, all the hotels are full. I mean, that gives you an indication. I mean, I know we have our normal
Right.
summer tourist season here with Hershey Park. And so that does increase hotel stays and restaurant utilization and that kind of thing. But if it's bumped up, I mean, you're gonna know.
Well, restaurants know that happens when you see the outdoorsman show coming to
Right.
town.
Right.
Mecom, the bigger shows at the farm show on the southern side, you'll see the restaurants back. You can go to the restaurant And you can see their sales spike
Mhm.
that week of the
Always.
shows or whatever it may be. I mean, that's how you tell that. But I mean, there's no way to gather that, to know exactly where they stay, know exactly how many nights. How are you gonna gather that unless you do a survey? Or like you said, AI, there's really no way to tell. And AI wouldn't tell how many days they stay. They
No,
only tell you
just
where
gonna
they
tell
came
you
from.
who's in a
Right.
particular area at a
Exactly.
particular time.
Yeah,
Right,
and where they went.
exactly.
No, that's okay. Any other comments? Okay.
I
Jim?
do, yes.
Yeah.
Concerning tourism grants. Company which I own and operate, State Street Media LLC, which is a production film company, applied for a tourist grant. I didn't even receive acknowledgement that the grant was received.
You
I
should have
didn't
received a
receive-
kickback, an automatic kickback.
I did not. I didn't receive any information that it was rejected. I had no correspondence with your office at all. Is that normal procedure?
Well, the grant award letters were sent out. The denial emails will be sent out shortly, but you definitely should have received a automatic email from our website.
I did not.
Okay,
The
well,
denial, now the application process has been closed for how long?
I mean, they were just approved May 5th. I don't know if we've had a lot of things going on in our office and we are a small staff. So please, I apologize for the delay on your denial letter, but I'll make sure, or your email, but I'll make sure that gets sent top priority.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Second question with George. You brought up the waiting list for the whole home repairs, 90 people,
So.
90 or so. I know several people that applied. They never heard a single reply from your office. They came personally to your office, and then they followed up with calls day after day after day. They heard nothing at this point. You glowingly talk about a waiting list of 90 people. Where is the list? Have you contacted those 90 people?
Yeah, I think we have.
You have?
Yeah,
Do you have evidence of that?
I can get that.
Would you like me to bring in people that have applied to this next meeting?
Absolutely. Available.
Not, you're available, but you don't answer your phone.
Who's called me, got names of the people.
I'm not
But
gonna
you
make it
wouldn't call
public.
me, you called Deborah Lowenslot. I'm not-
They called you.
I'm
I
not-
told them that you were headed to the office. I told them to call you. They came to your building on Front Street when you took applications. They have not heard anything.
Can you give me the names?
I'm not gonna give you the name. I'm gonna have them come
Well, you
again
want me to
to
help them
county
out?
commissioner meeting.
If you want me to help them, why would you?
No.
That doesn't make any sense.
I think we're
Just as
past you
a
helping
reminder-
anybody
Excuse
at
me,
this
just
point.
as a reminder, public participation is not a Q&A.
But it always
It's up to
is a
the-
Q&A. Because
I'm
George always
speaking. You had
talks.
your turn to speak, I'm speaking right now.
Okay.
It's not a Q&A, it's up to the board and the staff if they want to engage back and forth. But it's not required. If there are specific, direct concerns that you can provide with detail, it probably would make sense to provide those. But other than that, I'm being respectful to you, I would expect you to be respectful to the board and all those that are present.
That's fine. I have no more questions. Thank you.
Could I just make, Mr. Chairman, probably under IDA, but just an update, the Veterans Building that we recently sold is now under construction. There's some good work on for senior housing, I believe. We still own the parking at Market Square. I don't know if they'll reach out to us at some point. Getting parking once there's people.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Great, thank you. All right, any further comments? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll look for a motion to adjourn at 12:40. Mr. Rickards, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen.
Just to clarify,
How you doing, Everett?
that's just
I'm still in
A name
17,
like
right?
Hamilton,
Okay.
he should be credited.
Mr. Hamilton, do not leave yet.
You're popular.
Nothing against him, credited.